Why the Polaris 570 Ranger 4-seat is the best in its class. Now, I run a rental shop, and I figured I'll go ahead and make this video and this channel about my rentals, its experience, reliability of other machines, and just the overall outcome. Now, notice I said all those things all combined. Now, out of all of them, I do think Honda might be the most reliable, but there's trade-offs. I feel Polaris is the perfect all-in-betweener, especially price point. Which now, this is why I want to talk about the Polaris Ranger Crew SP 570 4-seater. One, I would consider this kind of like a hybrid. It's work and play essentially for the whole family. I've ridden the Polaris Crew Ranger quite a few times, test ride on the dealerships and out on the trails. And by far, I gotta say, this is the most comfortable side-by-side in its class. It has 10-inch ground clearance. I mean, it's amazing. And the turning radius on this machine, it's unbelievable. To be honest, it almost handles like a 2-seater UTV. And it's also very thin. Now, here's a few points why I think the Polaris Ranger SP, the 4-seater, it's the best UTV you can own. One, it's a 570. Keep in mind, I got to kind of compare this into the reality that I'm living, which is a rental company, but also work, play with my family, and when my family comes over and stuff like that. Now, this is critical because trailers are expensive, especially as a startup company. The width is only 56 inches. The average side-by-side, especially a 4-seater, there's nothing in its class like that. 56 inches can save you tons and tons of money on a trailer. I'm telling you guys. The ground clearance is also 10.5, which for a utility side-by-side, especially a 4-seater, that's very good. That's very high. 44 horsepower, it's not the fastest. But, being a 567cc engine, honestly, is plenty to torque around with a 4-seater. Anyways, and if you really want this for the family, you want your family to be safe. You don't want to put them on 120 horsepower, especially people who are kind of new to the OHV scene. Out here in Colorado, we have tons and tons of accidents. Having accidents on ATVs and especially UTVs is extremely common in Colorado and Utah and Idaho. Just look it up. Google it and you'll see accidents all over the place. Now, the biggest factor is the dry weight of 1,386 pounds. That is almost the same weight as a Polaris, a CF Moto, the Z-Force 800 2-seater side-by-side. So when I've driven this, it almost felt like a 2-seater, and that's what I've met. I don't know any other 4-seater that has this kind of dry weight. It's insane. And it could also tow 1,500 pounds, which for farm work and play and stuff like that, it's perfect. It's more than enough. Now, the downfalls about the Ranger Crew SP 570 4-seater is the adjustable driver's seat. Unfortunately, this is kind of like a utility farm type of side-by-side, but at the same time, it does have the specs and the nimbleness and the handling of almost kind of like a sports quad. Not a sports quad, a sports side-by-side. The adjustable driver's seat, unfortunately, it's not equipped. But that's okay. If you're leisure riding, you're driving around through trails, its nimbleness and how narrow the 4-seater side-by-side is, it's definitely going to make up for it. Now let's talk about the suspension. It's a MacPherson Strut 9-inch suspension travel, which, obviously is not like the big razors and stuff like that. That's the front suspensions. And personally, I think 9 inches, it's a perfect compromise between work and hitting average trails. Again, this is family type of utility machine. 9 inches, you don't want performance on family and kids when they're getting introduced to off-road machines and off-road usage, especially on technical trails and stuff like that. And then the rear suspension is a dual A-arm, which I really like. I wish the front was kind of like a dual A-arm, but unfortunately it's not. But the rear is a dual A-arm 10-inch, which is even better because it flexes a little bit more when you're going over obstacles and dropping down into them, which is something that you do want. So the overall width and range and all that stuff, height is 74 inches, which is not tall. That's great if you need to fit it into some kind of tight spot. The width is 56 inches. By far, that is the most important thing for me when you're hauling around a 60-inch trailer, which seems to be the most common and of course the most cost-effective type of trailer is a 60-inch width trailer. And then the length, wheelbase, 105 inches. So you are so forgiving on the type of trailer you can get. So in the long run, this is a lot of things that people don't understand, is it can save you a lot of money in the long run. And not to mention the type of engine it has, the 567cc 4-stroke single-cylinder dual overhead cam. It's a very incredibly smooth engine. When I was driving it, it was almost like a sports UTV. I mean, not as fast, of course, and suspension and all that, but it was very smooth. It was very easy to handle. And these engines, the 570 engines, are bulletproof. I'm telling you that now. I've seen them with around 20,000 miles. I'm not kidding, 20,000 miles. This is why I think in its class, the Ranger SP 570 4-seater UTV is just the best in its class. Anyhow, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell button. If you guys have not checked out my other channels, I have 2 other channels. One called RWW Rentals and the other one called Colorado Springs Dirt Bike Riders. If you guys are interested into the off-road fleet and all that stuff, I'll catch you guys in my next video.